This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Well, good day. I'm Elena Rusk, and 3 teens were shot during a drug deal outside the Valley Plaza Mall last night. Let's join 17's Chris Burton there at the scene with the latest on this investigation. Chris?
Well, Elena, what started out as a narcotics deal last night quickly turned to attempted robbery and then worse. 18-year-old Dion Swisher has been arrested for his part in the shooting that hospitalized 3, but the person who fired the shots is still at large. Shots rang out just before 7:30 Monday night as customers were headed home and employees prepared to shutter stores. A mall employee details the chaos as the scene unfolded.
I'm scared. My husband, my son is over there. Everybody's scared.
A Bakersfield Police Department investigation paints a picture of a drug deal gone wrong. When Swisher and a 17-year-old boy tried to rob a 15-year-old and another person, that person pulled a gun and opened fire.
We're getting reports of a shooting in the parking structure. In between JCPenney's and Forever 21, south side of the building. Confirm is it clear for medical aid to move in?
All 3 of the teens were hit.
For my victim will be moderate, at least GSW to the stomach.
Moderate injuries, gunshot wound to the stomach.
The teens are currently in the hospital. All are expected to survive. Swisher has been arrested for robbery and child endangerment. He's due in court on Wednesday. Again, the shooter has not been identified, and the effort to locate them is still ongoing. If you know who or where they might be, you're encouraged to call BPD. That number to call 327-7111. And our own Christian Galeno will have much more on the history of the Valley Plaza Mall tonight at 17 News at 5. Live in Bakersfield, Chris Burton, 17 News.
All right, thank you, Chris. Well, one student was stabbed, another arrested during a fight yesterday at Shafter High. According to the Kern High School district officials, it happened after school. The wounded student was taken to a local hospital, their condition not released. The other student involved was arrested. The district says this is an ongoing investigation, and it has determined the stabbing was a, quote, isolated situation and no other students were in danger. All right, new here at noon, the Kern County Coroner's Office has identified partial skeletal remains found in a desert area near Clay Mine Road back in October. The remains belong to 37-year-old Travis Michael Moore of Mojave, who originally went missing the month before in September 2021. Near the area, officials said his remains were found. Through DNA testing, the Sheriff's Office identified the remains as Moore's on March 10th. The cause of death has not been released.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
Well, in your 17 Court Watch, today we'll get a first look at the man arrested for murder in connection with an alleged street racing fatal crash back in November. Police say 30-year-old Nathan Valencia drove a car that raced a red Honda Civic shortly after midnight on November 19th on Stockdale Highway. The investigation shows the Civic sideswiped another vehicle and crashed west of Jenkins Road, killing passenger Carmen Romero Vidal. Police said the Civic's driver and another passenger were taken to the hospital with critical injuries that night, but have not confirmed the name of the second person who died. Valencia, the other driver in that race, was arrested Friday, and court records show he is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of vehicular manslaughter, hit and run resulting in death or permanent serious injury, engaging in a speed contest resulting in injuries, and driving without a license. He is due in court this afternoon to be formally arraigned. And a vigil was held last night in Delano. Kern County's second largest city has been ravaged by gun violence and crime, with nearly 30 homicides still unsolved. The vigil took place at Cesar Chavez Park, where 19-year-old Nayeli Carrillo Gonzalez was shot to death. She was a freshman at Fresno State and home for winter break back on January 2nd, 2020. The vigil took place on the same day that one of the men arrested for her murder made an appearance in court. The arrests are one of the reasons why Pastor David Vivas Jr. organized the memorial and invited the families of other violent crime victims.
My message to the community is, if you know something, call us. You may just have a small sliver of information, but that might be the missing piece to the puzzle that the police department needs to put the case together, identify who the perpetrator or the suspects are, and to make arrests and bring justice for the family.
Now, 21-year-old Jonathan Gutierrez of Bakersfield, one of the 3 men arrested last week in connection to Nayeli's death, had a hearing yesterday, but it was postponed to March 21st. He remains in custody without bail. 18-year-old Kevin Gonzalez of McFarland and 18-year-old Alexander Carrillo of Bakersfield were also arrested in connection with her death. All right, now to some news making headlines around the state, that is. Yesterday, we told you about California lawmakers pushing to suspend the state's 51-cent gas tax. The Republicans tried to force a floor vote in the Assembly for a gas tax holiday, saying money from the state's multi-billion-dollar budget surplus can backfill the lost funds. But because the measure has not had its first hearing, Democrats rejected suspending rules to hear it or to debate it. Democratic legislative leaders have said that they have concerns with the gas tax and taking it on a holiday because they don't want to take away any critical funds from road repair, transit operations, jobs, and other resources that the tax provides. They say they're hoping to provide some sort of tax relief to families and small businesses soon, while Governor Newsom has proposed sending money back to taxpayers in response to these rising gas prices. All right, so let's take a look at those rising prices. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon of gas is currently $4.31. That is down slightly from yesterday, but here in California, our state average continues to rise. It is currently $5.75 a gallon. Here in Kern County, the average $5.65. Now, to find the cheapest gas prices at a station near you, head over to our website. We have a gas tracker there under the traffic tab, kget.com. All right, also on the roads happening today, the California Highway Patrol is offering a free class to teenage drivers and their parents and guardians. Start Smart is a 2-hour no-cost class that discusses important issues such as safe driving habits, consequences of a poor choice behind the wheel, and tips on how to avoid a crash. Officers say parents and teens will leave the class more aware, more educated, and better prepared to handle the stress of a new driver. Now, space is limited for tonight's class, which begins at 6 at Bakersfield's CHP 420 Club on Alfred Harrell Highway there in East Bakersfield. To register, call the CHP at 396-6600. And now, looking ahead, the Kern County Career Expo and STEMposium are joining forces this year to let students get a look at the careers of the future and the jobs that are available right now. The big event coming up Friday, April 1st at the brand new Career Technical Education Center in Southwest Bakersfield. This morning on 17 News at Sunrise, we heard from organizers who are joining forces to get students interested in more local STEM careers.
The key is that they learn about the science, technology, engineering, and math opportunities. We're number 4 in the country for STEM opportunities, and we need our kids to understand that they're right in our backyard, and also the employers to see the workforce of the future. So it's matching the employers and the students as well as the educators. Maybe they tweak their curriculum to meet the needs of the businesses.
Now, I'm honored to say that I will be there that day as a presenter talking about environmental science and what it's like to be a woman in a STEM career. Employers who would like to have a booth at this public event should register with the Kern Economic Development Foundation. Registration is also required for schools, students, and parents who want to attend. Also on Sunrise this morning, we got a look ahead to the Food Truck Festival happening up in the Kern River Valley this weekend. The event in Kernville will feature more than a dozen food trucks, of course, along with live bands and a beer and wine garden.
We have 13 different food vendors out there competing for Best Dish 2022. They stand to win $1,500 cash. We have 8 different merchant vendors that are going to be out there selling, handcrafted soaps, art, lotions, what have you, candles. We have a raffle with 8 different prizes consisting of donations from 35 different local small businesses, including Camping on the Kern, Whitewater Voyages, kicked in a rafting trip, all kinds of really fun stuff.
Now, organizers announced that they will be donating 100% of the proceeds to the volunteers at the Kern Valley Search and Rescue so they can buy a new all-terrain vehicle for their rescues. The Food Truck Festival happening at the Rivernook Campground this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can get your tickets on our website, kget.com. KCSO.com. Well, the airline industry is raising the stakes in a fight over mandatory rest breaks under California law. A study commissioned by the Airline Trade Group and released today warns that the U.S. Supreme Court needs to act, and otherwise travelers will face fewer flight options and higher fares. The trade group Airlines for America wants the High Court to overturn a 2021 appeals court ruling which held that California-based flight crews are covered by the state's requirement for rest breaks. Lawyers for flight attendants who sued an airline say the Supreme Court should let a lower court's ruling stand. And a new initiative launched today will work to better understand and protect California's bumblebees. Now, as you know, they are so important to our agriculture here in the Central Valley, and the new California Bumblebee Atlas will enlist the assistance of trained volunteer community scientists to collect information around the state on bumblebee species, their diversity, and their habitat use. The volunteers will adopt priority survey areas, sampling each multiple times over the growing season, with a particular focus on gathering information on the state's 6 bumblebee species, most at risk of extinction. Now to the latest with the coronavirus. This morning, the director of Kern County Public Health provided an update to the Board of Supervisors on how our community is faring through the pandemic.
Last report to your board, CDC had classified Kern County as high level. On March 10th, Kern's community level was reduced to medium. The state's modeling software suggests that Kern's cases and hospitalizations will continually slowly decrease for the foreseeable future, with no currently predicted future surges.
All right, so as we take a look at those latest COVID-19 case numbers here in the county, this morning the dashboard updated to show 188 new positive cases with 8 new deaths attributed to COVID-19 in Kern County. State data shows 54 patients hospitalized in the county with the virus and 12 in intensive care units.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.